in the fam. All in the fam. Come on. It's all in the fam. All in the fam. Come on. Now get your hands up. 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 It's all in the fam.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of All in the Fam. You already know who I am. I'm Brianna Cherie, host of this certified, fresh, all-inclusive, unfiltered podcast. Now, if you didn't check out the last episode, make sure you go check that out. I spoke with Diane, yes, again. This time, we unpacked her passions about music, health, and fitness, and how she correlates that within her career. Now, that was the first episode of a 3-part series that we're calling Mixing Passion with Professionalism, where I get to sit down with 3 young professionals and pretty much talk to them about how they correlate their passions with their careers. And these 3 young professionals just happen to be 3 of my good friends. So season 1 is all about adulthood, so we're continuing on with that theme. In today's episode, this is part 2 of the Mixing Passion with Professionalism series. And I get to speak with Yohana Ghedy, one of my good homegirls, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her graduate school chronicles. She is currently a graduate student at University of Illinois, Chicago, studying public health policy analysis. Sounds like a lot, but she's super passionate about public health, and she wants to be a change agent to making public health more accessible to the people in this country. So we get to unpack that in today's episode. So yeah, let's get to it. All right, Yo-Yo, what's good?
Hey, girl. Chillin'. How are you?
Good. Thank you for coming on. So like I mentioned in the intro, today we're going to be talking about professionalism, what you're passionate about, and all that stuff. So introduce yourself to the fam.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yohana Ghedy. I am intros are always kind of funny because am I a student? Am I a person? Especially right now, I feel like I'm questioning a lot of things with everything that's going on in life. But I'm currently a grad student at UIC. I'm studying public health. I'm getting my master's in health policy administration. I also work for the university. I am an admissions counselor, so I help international students apply to UIC, which is always very exciting. I currently am back home at my parents' house, but I've been living in Chicago for the last 6-7 years. So from the city to the suburbs has been a very interesting transition lately, but here I am, happy to be here.
That was so professional.
Not
how we talk to each other.
No, not at all. Which is actually kind of funny because usually when I'm in a conversation like this, I notice that my code switching is just so hard that it's so hard for me to go into like a relaxed conversation. Because especially when you say like, "Oh, introduce yourself," right? Because I'm thinking, oh my God, like I'm at a podium, I have to like back straight, be super professional. But yeah, I've been in a field where I have to do that. Because if I talk like I normally talk to my friends, it's kind of like, oh, who's this?
I feel you. Well, since this is an unfiltered podcast, you don't have to code switch. This is a fam.
Period.
Fam.
Period. Hey, fam.
For those of you who don't know, most of you guys do know, me and Yohana go way back, all the way to church, actually. But we never really met in church, but we went to the same church for years without realizing it. And then we became friends, what was it, freshman year of high school?
High school, yep.
Freshman year of high school, and then we just keep running in the same circles throughout high school and running the same circles in college, and yeah, so we go way back.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Absolutely. It's funny that when we were younger, we didn't realize what this was going to be, this friendship was going to turn into. It's never been like a forced thing, which I appreciate, because I feel like sometimes, I know that you've like talked about this a little bit in your other podcasts with like friendships, sometimes you just kind of have to let go, but I feel like we got a nice genuine, tuck in, it's always love.
Girl. You start
Period. I love it.
Awesome. So yeah, shout out, go Flames. I also go to UIC as well. I'm a little bit behind everybody, but it's okay. Life happens.
Marathon.
Absolutely. So now you mentioned that you're in grad school studying public administration. I get it mixed up.
So I get it mixed up too, don't worry. It's a bunch of terms that they kind of just throw at you, but the umbrella is so Master of Public Health. and my concentration is health policy and administration. So what I learned in class, so I'm going into my 5th semester of this program. But what I genuinely learn about is health policy, health systems, how people are able to access care, which is like going into the program, I was not exactly sure what I was going to get. I got my bachelor's in public health as well, and that was more general. So this is definitely more like focused. And I kind of went in like wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, really excited. I'm gonna change the world. And then they're just kind of like throwing things at you, like this is the real world. Healthcare, health access, it's a problem. Let's fix it. So here I am today. Kind of jaded, but still here.
So you chose that as your graduate degree. Does that fit your passion? Tell us, what are you passionate about?
So I'm not sure if you remember when we were in high school, but we had to take that like Naviance test, and they kind of tell you like where your career is going to go. So when I took it, I was like, whatever, sure, public health, because I guess my kind of like astrology, my sign says I'm like help people. Yeah. And I was kind of like, sure, I like helping people, but that's something that I've really taken to the next level. Like I genuinely want to help people. So with my degree, it does align with my passions in terms of I want to be able to just have that hands-on experience, help people realize what they deserve, and do whatever I can to provide that for them.
Got you. So did you ever have any second thought of choosing public health?
So no, which is kind of funny. And especially now that I'm an admissions counselor, I notice how often people do have second ideas or like doubts towards their majors. But I declared my major when I was 17 years old. Then here I am at 20. I know, really strange. But here I am now at 23, and I'm like, I'm happy that I picked what I picked. But it's crazy because back then, nobody knew what public health was. Even now, people still don't know what public health is. And that's the point of public health. You're not supposed to know what it is. You're not supposed to see it working. And that's how you know it's working. So I kind of fell into this, and it was just a perfect fit. So I got really lucky with not having doubts, never changing majors or anything. But I did have a little issue where I started a graduate program that wasn't for me. But
that was my next question, because
yeah.
you started out as public administration before.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So when I first graduated undergrad, because I'm a very like structured person, I like to think. So when I was 17, I declared my major. I planned out my 4 years, and I completed those 4 years. But then once I hit that 4th year, it's like, okay, what are you gonna do next? And I'm like, wait, we didn't plan this. Like, I don't know. I graduated, right? So I thought like that was it. I'm gonna work. But then I realized like to do what I really want to do, I have to have another degree, a graduate degree. Unfortunately, that's just the way it works in my field. But yeah, so I really quickly so the summer after I graduated, I disappeared. I went to Eritrea for 2 months. No internet, no contact. No emails, especially. I went back home, and right before I left,
I had to hang out with you that summer. And you
I was gone. I was really gone. And I'm happy I did that. It was nice to like kind of recollect, especially after 4 years of my degree. So yeah, I really quickly applied for this graduate program, and I was like, well, it's it's public administration. They didn't have a health policy concentration, but when I met with an advisor, she guided me and told me like, yeah, but you could take the classes and you can make it what you want, and you can be flexible with you, and just told me all these words that just were like hitting. So I'm like, bet, applied, got in, left the country, came back for my first day of school, and I was like, oh my God, get me out of here. When I tell you, I'm not knocking the degree. But for me, it just did not align with what I wanted to do, because I feel like the mindset is more so business. Mm-hmm. And that's not like the transactions that I wanted with people. I didn't want it to be like, oh, how can I make more money? Or how can I help this company make more money or increase their stocks? Man, I took an econ class and I would cry. Oh, I cried so much. It was not a good time. We'll just say that. But yeah, I pretty quickly dropped that and then went back to my roots of public health. I tried to get away, but that did not work.
So what are some careers that line up with public health policy?
Yeah, of course. What I've seen that I possibly will a role take whenever I graduate would be like a nonprofit like coordinator. And what you would do in that role is you can work with like a hospital and kind of like help coordinate and fund communities to have access to clinics or care, whatever it takes. Also, I could lobby. I don't know if I would do that. Not yet, at least. But yeah, exactly. Because Chicago, as you know, it's the windy city because of the corruption. But I feel like it's very important for somebody who looks like me, who I've been very blessed to have access where I was raised. But like I have now interned and worked in communities and like work side by side with people who haven't, who can speak to their experiences. So like I would love to be able to help people have what I had. Also, I could just be an administrator at a hospital. That's not what I want to do. But
that's like the last option.
That's like when you work in like an office space with like the flashing lights that are almost like out and working at your computer, and yeah, that's not really but I mean there's a glamour side to it too. Another thing you could do is be like a fundraiser if you're good at sweet talking people out of their money, getting them to donate, going to those banquets and whatnot. So that's also like an opportunity.
Yeah.
But I think like the nonprofit route is something that I really respect. And that's definitely something that I would, if I don't do it now, that's something I would love to do in the future. Just because it's like, I would never want to go into this to make money. If that was my goal, I should go for profit. But that's not it.
Yeah. And I feel like that's a huge just misconception within the health industry. A lot you would think a lot of people will go into health because they want to help people, but there's a lot of healthcare workers, professionals, doctors, nurses who are going in for the money, not really for the patients. And everything that's coming out right now with the Black Lives Matter movement, that's just an umbrella. And now it's being like, man, even in healthcare, you're seeing Black people being treated unjustly in an unfair way. They're always, not always, but there's many cases where, you know, if you're in the waiting room at a hospital, Black people are the last ones to get seen for hours. You know, that's stuff you hear about in the 50s in Jim Crow during segregation. And to see that that's happening right now in 2020. So the fact that, honestly, we need more people of color like yourself making the policies and stuff like that. But I'm just glad that there are people like you who are going into it for the people, not for the monetary incentives, you know.
I'm trying. I appreciate that. But yeah, it's really disappointing. And that definitely does give me like the motivation to do my homework and do well in my classes and actually learn, not just like kind of brush by, because I really want to learn what happened and what we need to do to make it better.
So for instance, I know America's healthcare, I'm gonna say it because it's unfiltered, it's shit. It's absolutely shit. In the greatest country in the world, our healthcare system is the shit. So what are some things in your opinion that need to change?
Medicare for all.
Yeah.
Period. Everybody deserves to have access. And it really sucks now. So Obamacare, as they like to call it, which is actually the Affordable Care Act.
I know.
I have my feelings towards Obama right now, but that's another story. But anyways, Affordable Care Act is not affordable. No. It doesn't make sense that our health insurance systems that we have set up are meant to keep the poor poor, the sick sick, because people want to profit off of it. The amount of money that you would pay in like your deductibles, it doesn't make sense that the people who are living paycheck to paycheck are the ones that are really needing this their health care, health access, are the ones that are having to like not schedule appointments or miss things that they're supposed to actually hit in their like ages because they can't afford it. I've seen it. I've read about it. It makes me really upset. I was actually having a conversation yesterday with someone who works in health insurance. She works for Blue Cross Blue Shield downtown. And she was just talking about like how complex her job is and how disappointing it is. And she went in with the intentions of like me, like you want to help people, you want to be able to give people the access that they deserve, but then you're working for someone whose bottom line is to make money. So that's why I think everyone deserves access. Same way, similar to how Canada works, similar to Germany, Sweden. Like we can just keep going.
Right.
Of everyone who does it better than us.
Mm-hmm.
But we're the number one country, right?
Whatever.
Maybe I wrote to that one. Because what does that even mean?
I need to start researching because I have one more year left on my parents' insurance. I'm milking it a little bit. It's 26, right? Where we have
26.
Yeah. So I have one more year. I'm about to be 25. And I'm texting my mom. I'm like, man, we'll start deductibles because I'm trying to see what can I do to get done, you know, before I'm off your health insurance and stuff like that. It's crazy that we have to think about that.
Milk it.
Mm-hmm.
Milk it. My back hurts. I'm gonna go to the chiropractor because my mom's got her insurance with her job. I'm gonna go to the chiropractor. I'm gonna get my glasses and my contacts. I'm gonna get everything, whatever it is. I'll take it. I'll take two because it sucks that once we hit 26, and if you don't have a job that has a good health benefit, what are you gonna do? You're gonna go to the open market and search for it yourself. I have been working free. I've been learning and working about this stuff or with this stuff for so long, and I still don't get it.
Thank you.
I don't get it.
Thank you.
None of it makes sense. You learn about it. It's like, oh, here's a clause, and here's this point A1, and what?
Right.
So it's very discouraging, I would say. But yeah, I wish that we had someone in office who would, Bernie Sanders, who could, but I think we're past that point, unfortunately. But yeah, it's really upsetting that not everyone understands that it's not a big deal. Like, just give everyone access. Don't be racist. Be nice to people. Like the very simple things that we should have learned as children. Not everybody learned it. You don't deserve to go to the doctor? What the hell do you mean?
Right.
What?
It's sad, man. It's sad, man. And I'm over here with early onset arthritis in both knees, and I'm 1 year away from getting off my parents' insurance. So I'm just like, okay, how many doctor's visits can I milk before I have to pay out of pocket with all these deductibles? It's crazy. And another thing, you would think that, I know this is kind of getting into politics, but we'll get but you would think that with the pandemic going on right now, that all these legislators and the lobbyists would finally change the laws to not make health insurance correlate with your employment. In the middle of a pandemic where people are literally dying, and yes, people die every day, but people are dying at I can't even say the fucking word. At high
astronomical.
Yes.
You're right. You're right.
At high rates, and we can't work, so we don't contract the virus. So if you don't have a job, you don't have health insurance. So if you get the virus, but you don't have health insurance, well, RIP. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense. It's very aggravating. So growing up, I always wanted to get into politics because like I can do this. As you know, I was in student council my whole entire life.
Class president. Class 2000.
But like I've always, even in like undergrad, like it's just always something I was very involved with. And the older I got, the more I was like, these are the people who can make the change. Because they are not, obviously from what I'm seeing, they're not the ones who really care. Which is why I thought like ever running for public office would be, maybe I'm going to bite myself in the ass by saying this. So somebody might find this clip in 10 years and be like, she said it. But I just don't think that they're very productive people. Now we have some people who are coming in, unfortunately not in our state really, that are radical and understand these things. But I feel like the majority, they're just kind of there because it's something cool to do. Like, you're not really helping people. You ran on this platform that's not being pursued. So it's very disappointing. I can't even watch like local news anymore because I'm just like, you suck. You absolutely suck.
Side, Democrat and Republican. It's like, where are the politicians that are for the people? There's very few and far in between.
Yep. You know, I saw something on Twitter and it was like, COVID-19 and racism are two things that you don't care about or you don't acknowledge because they don't affect you. And they go hand in hand. Healthcare is racist.
That's very true. That's very true. All right. Well, let's give it back to you. So, you are in graduate school. Tell me because I'll be applying to graduate school too. In about 2 years. So
you'll cry a lot. Just know that.
Yeah, I already cry a lot in undergrad. What's the admission process like? Is it similar? Is it different? Like, give us some tips for us who are about to apply to grad school.
So if anyone who's listening and you want to go for fall 2020 or spring 2021, a lot of these programs have cut the required testing, so the GRE, GMAT, so on and so forth. So now's a really good time to apply to these programs because their numbers are really bad when it comes to admission. Because fun fact, I don't know the percentage, but a lot of graduate students in the United States are international. So with everything that's going on, their numbers have been going down like dramatically. Like UIC, I don't know if I could say this, but Lord Jesus, graduate school at UIC is not doing well because the people who are supposed to be studying are stuck in their countries. And they can't take online programs for a graduate degree, typically. You're doing like engineering or some sort of, I don't know. But yeah, so now's a good time to apply if you are domestic and you have access. Same thing that kind of happened in 2008 when the market was starting to crash. Everyone went back to school because if you're not working, you can get loans, go to school, so on and so forth. But the process typically goes, you just apply normally, you take an entrance exam. So I took the GRE. Jesus Christ, I was cross-eyed after I took it. Like, I didn't do too much studying because I'm that kind of person. And you sit at a computer, I think it was like 5 hours. Oh. And when I tell you, my brain was fried. So my friends picked me up afterwards to go out to eat. And I couldn't speak at dinner. I couldn't speak because I was like, my brain is so fried. The next day even, I had to take off work because I was like, I can't function, which I think is so ridiculous that we test students based on how long you could sit, how many questions you can remember and regurgitate. That's how we test students. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't want to pay for the books. I only paid for the exam. I didn't even want to do that. But the books are expensive. The tutoring's expensive. So it's another issue of like access. Yeah. It's a tangled web of people trying to keep the people down. Right. Unfortunately. But yeah.
You kind of answered my next question already. So you work in the admissions office for international students. Trump just passed this. Yeah. I was listening to Vox Today Explained. It's a podcast where they explain what happened in the news. And the episode was about the millions of international students in America who are in limbo right now because classes are online. Like any other time, like I get it. Like if you're an international student and your classes are online, what's the point of coming here? But like when you're in the middle of a pandemic, that's something out of your control. And these kids spend thousands upon thousands of dollars to get their visas to come here. They work here, they live here, and now many of them don't have jobs. So the only thing that they rely on is school. And now the fact that Trump is like, oh, well, classes are online, go back home. But then you have travel bans on top of that. So some of these kids can't even go home. And a lot of these kids are first generation and their parents are older, more prone to the virus. So it's just like a trickle-down system. How is this affecting your job personally as an international admissions counselor?
So the first time I saw this was on Twitter, right when Homeland Security dropped it. And I was like, okay, what does this mean? Because the first like article they drop is very vague. And you can interpret, and that's a problem with a lot of their information. It's very vague, and you can interpret it however you want. But then when you interpret it the way that they don't want you to, then that's when you have an issue. So I messaged my manager, who also was in international admissions. Now he does like general, but he growing up was in international admissions, so same place as me. And he was like, when I saw him freak out, that's when I was like, oh my god, this is bad. So my emails the next day, my heart was broken because these students have already paid for everything. On top of that, they have to pay more to even apply. They had to now to get the document to be able to go to the embassy, to be able to even pay for the appointment, to even be able to pay to get a visa. So they can't say like milk this money out of them, the US embassy. But yeah, so they've already started this process. A lot of the students did know that they wouldn't be able to come until the spring semester, just because like the travel bans, the embassies are very backed up. So unless you're doing business, it'd be very hard to even get to America. So they understood that. But their fear was, okay, but what does this mean for my future? Like, I don't have good Wi-Fi at home, or the timing, because the problem is, so China's 11 hours ahead, 11, 12 hours. Pakistan, 9 hours. Like, a majority of our students are coming from literally the other side of the world. So you want them to take calculus at 11 p.m. their time? Because that's the way that the classes are going to work once they're there. So it's really disappointing. Luckily, UIC though, we can't really change the time difference. But the president of like the UI system, he stated, since we are a hybrid system, so for the students that are here currently, they will be able to have the in-person and online mix of the classes. And actually something that I don't know if a lot of people know, I didn't know until I had this job, but international students can't take a full online course. So it's not like it's a surprise necessarily, but you would think because we're in a pandemic, right, and yeah, the situation that we're in, that would make it easier for people to have a heart. But what I said earlier, racism and COVID, if it doesn't affect you, you don't know it matters. You don't acknowledge it. Mm-hmm. Same thing with this.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I had to check my privilege too, because I'm over here, man, I got to take all my classes online. I mean, my degree this past year, even though I was part-time, I was already doing online classes. So pandemic hit, I was like, okay, well, I have 2 more months. It's nothing new to me because my classes are online. And then I was going to go back to on campus the following year, but now I was kind of upset. But then this happens. So I was like, you know what? Let me check my privilege, because this literally doesn't affect me. The only thing that this affects is I just can't be physically on campus. Whereas I literally have friends who are freaking out right now. And luckily, one of my close friends, she's international. She goes to another school out of state. She has 1 class in person, so she can stay. Mm-hmm. Now, if she did it, she would have. And it's just crazy that just in a blink of an eye, you know, an idiot in office can just do that, you know?
Yeah. But he's being sued. I think they're suing Homeland Security specifically. So like Harvard, MIT, I know that like the UI system's also on that. So the University of California system as well. So everyone's firing back. I hate to say it, but they're fighting it for the dollars. Because international students, when I tell you that students pay between like $40,000 to $60,000 a year, and on top of that, you have to show that in your bank account. It's not even like a loan.
Oh my God.
So to even get like the offer for the visa, you have to show how much money is in your bank account to then be given like the I-20 document to then get the visa. So it's like, God, it's so expensive. But the way it was explained to me is when domestic students go to other countries, like US students go to other countries to study, like they'll probably be paying more. Which now that I think about it, I don't know how true that is. But they were saying it's like a privilege to study in a different country. So I'm just kind of like, okay, cool, I get that. But that does not make this okay.
Right.
The way that we milk them for the dollars does not make it okay.
Mm-hmm. And that just goes into just a whole other discussion about
I know
college and how I don't think college in itself is a scam, but the price makes it.
Yeah, absolutely. People are like, I paid for college out of pocket all 4 years. Blah, 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 my summer job. Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
That was when college was $6. I could pay that too. But now it's like, what? You're expected to pay how much?
Mm-hmm.
Inflation is crazy.
Oh my gosh. All right. Happy.
Please, because I feel like we're going down like a tunnel of like, oh, the world sucks. What's new?
This is unfiltered, so it's okay. What are some key differences between grad school and undergrad? It can be social, it can be academic, it can be humorous. Like, just give us the details.
Well, because you said social first, my first thing is no one talks to each other.
Really?
So it's so unless I'm studying with you, I don't know you.
What?
It's so sad. There are some
all professional and shit.
Yeah. So a lot of the people who are at least in my program, they don't work or they'll have like internships. So for me, I'm at work and then I'll run to class. I don't go back to work, so I don't have time to like hang out or anything. Which kind of sucks, but it's also like, I'm good. But in terms of like the experience, I feel like you get challenged so much more, and professors are very like, what's up? They're very like to the point, very blunt. Like the way I communicate with my professors now is actually kind of cool because there's like they see me as like an equal rather than like a subordinate, right? But yeah, so I feel like the experience is more hands-on. It's less like filtered, unfiltered. So I really do appreciate that they say it how it is. But I wish that I still had that. Like I remember I was on Twitter the other day complaining because in class, like we would. What'd you say? The sound's cut out.
Complain on Twitter. That's what it's for.
Exactly. But I was talking about how I wrote on like the discussion board and nobody responded to me, and I was just really like salty that nobody wanted to talk to me. But in undergrad, it's like, oh, you're gonna get those points. Like, let me respond. But in grad, there's really no points. You're just kind of like, you showed up, you did what you're supposed to do. Here's an A, which is cool. I like that. But like, I just want to like talk to people about what we're studying.
Right. It's crazy because in undergrad, in those Blackboard discussion groups, man, you'll be analyzing, I think she chose the color red because, like, you be having
doing the most
analysis about the color red, and everybody will just backtrack and have a play on what you said, but nobody cares. But what you say about grad school, you are actually talking about things you care about. So it's kind of disheartening that nobody wanted to respond to you.
Yeah, exactly. But that's one thing I do appreciate, though, for the times I've been in class, because like the conversations are genuine. You're not just like regurgitating whatever just because you're getting points for speaking. So I think I've learned a lot that way. And also another thing that's really great is people come from so many different backgrounds. Like in my program, there's some people who were in the medical field for years, like medical doctors, and decided to come back for their master's in public health. So we hear from people who are like 60, and we have people who are like 20, and everyone in between from so many different places. So I appreciate that like well-roundedness of the classroom.
Do you have any regrets from choosing your major, your degree, or no?
No regrets. I do regret not finding a way to have somebody else pay for my first semester. I do regret that because so when you work for the university, you get a tuition like differential or waiver, whatever. So my tuition, I don't have to take out loans, which is really nice. They just take it out of my paycheck, like the difference. So my first semester, I tried to apply for like a TA position. I know it was a GA position, so grad assistant. And they were like, yeah, no, sorry. So I was like, oh, well, I was depending on you to pay for my school, and now I have to take out a bunch of loans. Cool. So the funny thing about academia is if you want like a position like that, you have to be homies with the professor. And then like the actual application process is just for like formalities, but it's not real. I didn't learn that until afterwards. So to anybody listening who wants to have a TA position or a GA position, be friends with your professors in undergrad if you're going to the same institution. And then that's how you get the hookup. There's really no other way around it. It sucks.
Yeah, I'll take that advice personally because I'll most likely end up at UIC for grad school.
So be homies. Like now one of my professors that I had her in undergrad as well, and now we're cool. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me this then? Why didn't you let me know what was going on? But that's another thing when you're a first generation student. Like you don't have anybody telling you these things. You really have to figure this out on your own. So you got some hiccups on the way.
That's why I wanted to focus this particular season on the podcast on adulthood, because there's so many young people, especially young people of color, who don't get just positive advice on their transition to adulthood. So like you being a first gen college student, grad student at that, young Black woman giving all this advice, you go touch somebody.
I try. I'm trying to help. As much as I possibly can.
Any advice to anybody? I know that's very generic, but like any advice at all to younger people?
Just do it. Whatever you're thinking about possibly doing, write it down and do it. Many moons ago, that's what I did. I wrote down what I wanted to do, and I'm doing it. I feel like it's very important to speak things into existence. Speak to whoever. Always go out on a limb to talk to whoever who might be in your field, just because you never know what advice they could give you. Whether it's somebody on LinkedIn, oh my gosh, I shoot my shot in people's LinkedIn DMs. I'm like, oh, you worked here and you did this? Like, tell me about it. Do that. Talk to people, go to free events, go to these webinars. Now it's all on Zoom. There's so many different like fields that are hosting like things online. So go to those, talk to people. The world is yours.
Well, we do have to wrap it up, unfortunately.
This is so much fun.
We did dabble into politics, but it was much needed because honestly, that's policy, and you're going.
Absolutely.
Politics.
It's funny. It's funny because when you first told me about this, and I'm like, Brie, I'm not the one. Like you, thank you for asking and thinking about me, but I don't got nothing to say. But I feel like this is a very beneficial conversation. So thank you.
But I feel like those who always say they have nothing to say, we do have something to say. You know, because
thank you.
See all the idiot politicians.
You're right.
Have something to say, and we have something to say. So
absolutely. Good point. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Yo-Yo. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for being on All in the Fam. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. That is a wrap for episode 4. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening, especially if you're listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Now, if you're watching this right now, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so we need your guys' help for that. Also, we want to hear from you guys. What are you guys passionate about? Or if you had any insight or takeaways that you had from this video, share down below. We want to have an open dialogue with you guys because we are family. So also make sure you share this podcast with your friends and family. Get the word out. This content is for you guys and it is for everybody. And then also make sure you follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is allinthefam0719. So go follow us and like everything on that page. The next episode will be aired on August 26th. That will be the third and last part of this Mixing Passion with Professionalism series. I will be talking to my friend Camille Fairbairn and her journey right now and with her career endeavors. So that's going to be a good one. And then next Wednesday, we will have a video segment posted about transitional periods. So make sure you tune that in on Wednesday. Okay? I'm Brianna Cherie. I'm tuning out. See you guys.